will go ahead and get started. My name is Ellen Connor. I am one of the trainers here at Newline. We also have Patrick Manzanito on the call as well. He might be the person that's making fun of me throughout this, but he is also on here. He is one of our regional sales managers for the Midwest, and he is going to help us today, just kind of giving some insight, but also he's going to be our moderator. So if you have any questions as we go along, please put them in the Q&A feature within Zoom. Patrick will be watching that and answering questions, and then we'll also address them at the end as well.
Yeah, and I would, just to clarify, I would never make fun of Ellen, but if you do want to comment on Ellen in any way in the Q&A, you can, and I will answer questions.
And I won't be able to see it, so that's a good tactic there, Patrick. Thanks. Another thing I want to add is this session is being recorded. So Patrick, if you do make fun of me, I have record of it. But this will be recorded, so we will put this on our YouTube channel for you to check out later on as well. And so today our webinar is a sneak peek about Huddle Up for Huddle Spaces for Newline, but it's also debuting our 55-inch IP series, which is the panel that I have behind me here. Now, to start our webinar, I do want to just share with you a little bit about Newline as far as our story, just for some of you that might not be familiar with us, some of you that are, just gives you a couple more pointers to add out to our customers there. So as far as Newline goes, we focus on two main things with all of our products. The first is that we want to be easy to use. So we want people to be able to take our panels, plug them in, turn them on, and start interacting with them right away. They don't have to spend, a day and a half in training learning how to use them. We want them, again, to be very easy to use and intuitive. And we also focus on being non-proprietary. We know that everyone uses different software and programs with our panels, and we think it's important for us to meet you where you are rather than making you work with us. So for example, down here at the bottom, all of our video conferencing platforms that are available to use with us. So for example, we have Zoom, GoToMeeting, WebEx, Teams, all of those can be used with our panels. And then I mentioned that our panels are very easy to use, but we know not everyone knows technology quite like us. So we offer free training that can be on-site as well as webinar-based training for the lifetime of the product. And then lastly, just a couple of things that make Newline a little bit different than maybe some of the other panel companies out there. The first is the fact that we are the manufacturer. So that gives us full control of our products as far as the development of them, but also inventory. So currently, amongst our 3 different warehouses that we have both on the coast as well as here in Richardson, Texas, we have about 15,000 panels ready to go at right now. So there's never any issues as far as inventory goes. And then lastly, when it comes to tech support, our tech support is based here in Plano, Texas as well. And anytime there is a question or an issue that you might be having with our panels, you can reach out to them and they can provide support from there. Now, if you do talk to our tech team and they determine very rarely that the panel you have might be defective, if you are one of our corporate customers, you have a 3-year advanced replacement warranty. And for our education environment, we have a 5-year advanced replacement warranty. What that warranty looks like is, again, we do our troubleshooting, determine it's defective, and we send you a brand new unit. It will not be an old refurbished unit, but it will be brand new. And we will take care of the shipping to get you that new unit, but also take care of the shipping to get that old one back to us as well. So that is just a little bit about Newline. Patrick, you want to add anything as far as Newline goes?
No, in terms of support, I think it's important to note, she mentioned that support is in Dallas. I know some people get shocked when they call in for support and someone actually answers the phone. So that is the case. You call up the support line and maybe Daniel actually picks up the phone if he's not on another call. able to help troubleshoot right away. We don't have a ton of product, so they're very familiar with the different lines that we have in terms of display product, and they can help pretty quickly. And the advanced replacement that she mentioned also means that you're getting the new display before the defective one even comes off the wall. So we're trying to minimize downtime and really accelerate, the process of getting that room back up to speed and ready to use as quickly as possible, as opposed to a lot of the industry takes a long time to do RMAs and get new product and replaced there on site and everything, and you could be down a couple of weeks. Well, for us, considering now of all of our different warehousing locations, it's probably somewhere between 3 to 5 days. So very quick, very responsive, and that's kind of what's helped us gain a lot of traction in the market.
So the title of our webinar is Huddle Up with Newline. So the focus again is just on huddle spaces and using our 55-inch IP. So in a huddle space, for some of you that are not familiar, it's typically a meeting space that goes from 1 to 6 people, just to have, a meeting that isn't, in a large conference room. And it usually utilizes some type of display as well as a camera. Well, you can use for your video conferencing. And so we suggest the 55-inch IP. The reason we do that is because of the size. It works well in those spaces. But the thing about our IP series is it's a little bit different than the other panels that we have. Most of our panels, or I should say all of our panels, have a custom-built Android operating system. So that means built into it, it has some features such as a built-in browser or a whiteboard that's built in. Now, our IP series, it is going to be Linux-based. So that means it does not have an embedded operating system. So for our customers that are a little bit weary of putting an Android operating system on their network, the Linux-based operating system on the IP is a good alternative because the IP is just running off of your computer. Now, your computer could be the laptop that you have or a designated desktop. We also have, with our panels that you can get, is an onboard computer. It looks like this. It's a slot PC that runs Windows. And it just slides in the back here and creates this all-in-one solution. This onboard computer, again, it just acts like any other computer that you have, so it follows all of the protocols as far as security that you have set for it. The IP series, it has capacitive touch. So our other panels that we have, they have an IR sensor. So that means that the sensor around it, essentially if you break the plane while touching it, it will write and interact that way. With those panels, you can use any type of stylus you want. However, with the IP, we have a designated stylus that goes with it, or you can use something like your finger as well. So again, that's going to be a little bit of a difference between our other panels and the IP series.
And I'll just add to that. So some people don't know the true difference between IR and capacitive. Capacitive is basically like your phone. It's like an iPad. That's what uses capacitive touch. And IR is the more traditional touchscreen technology that's been out for a long time. And when she was talking about the different styluses, we do include a capacitive stylus with the display. You can use your finger. And I've also sent links to certain styluses on Amazon that cost as little as 50 cents to $1 a piece in terms of it being a replacement stylus that counts as a capacitive stylus.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Now, at the top of my panel here, you'll notice that I have a camera. Now, in your huddle space, you'll probably want to, again, add a camera for that interaction and a better meeting. The camera I have here, it is a Lumens camera. However, we are non-proprietary again, so you can use any camera that you want to purchase or you might have already. We do have a bundle with all of our panels for a Logitech meetup. So again, all of those different cameras can be used with our panels as well. So we don't say you have to use a certain camera with our panels. And again, that can be put up at the top. You can also mount them at the bottom, whatever works best for your environment there. Now, One thing I want to point out as far as a piece of software that goes really well in a huddle space is something that we have called Newline Launch Control. And launch control, it is essentially a kiosk mode for different programs and software that you have on, that your environments are using. So for example, you can see here in the middle, I have designated the different apps that I can use on my panel. So essentially, if you want to kind of limit the access that other people have in the huddle space to different tools, you can set that up here. So for example, if I wanted to open up Zoom, I simply just tap on the button here and it will launch. And I'm hoping it doesn't kick me out now. We can launch Zoom from here. Now, we also have Teams, Microsoft Word. You can put anything that you want as far as those links there. Now, this also gives a room calendar on the side. Patrick, don't make fun of me, please, for how I say calendar. On the side, we have a room calendar that just designates that this space is being used, but it makes sure to make it private enough that it just lists that we have a meeting. It doesn't put anything about Patrick getting fired or anything like that as far as public information. So again, it's just a general room calendar. Now you can customize this. So you'll see down at the bottom, there's a QR code that says get connected. And I can, with my phone, download an app called Launcher, and I can scan the QR code that is here, and it will connect directly to my Office 365 account. So here we'll get connected, and you can see that I am now connected down at the bottom. And if I had any meetings today, you would see those listed there. You'll also notice that on my room calendar, at the bottom of my meeting titled Ellen's Meeting, it has the logo for Zoom. So if I have multiple meetings for one day and I'm using Teams and I'm using Zoom, I have the ability to just walk up, see my meeting title, and tap on that icon, and it will launch it. So again, makes things very simple. I don't have to log in each time I'm using a different platform as far as video conferencing goes. And again, whenever anyone accesses one of these links or apps, I should say, and they are done, it will always bring them back to this screen. So as far as IT goes, they don't have to worry about people exploring on their own and kind of breaking things. It will bring them right back to this as well. So again, just kind of makes it a one-stop shop as far as what software and programs you want to use there.
Okay, Ellen, let me jump in real quick because there are a couple of questions that are kind of relevant to what we're going over right now. So one of the first ones from my buddy Bill over in Chicago, he's asking, what part of the software there won't perform. Kind of the way we've worked, as Ellen stated earlier, the way we've worked our products and built them is for them to be very open, very non-proprietary to basically devices plugging into them. So your MacBook, your laptop with Windows 7, a Chromebook, whatever it is, when they plug into our displays, they work. We're using the drivers from those operating systems to enable touch. We're using those same things to connect with our cameras if there's a built-in camera or built-in microphone. So literally any of the software that works on your laptop or your MacBook, on whatever it is, it's going to work on the display. So there's no disconnect there in terms of software working or not working on our displays. And then another question, I think, from Rick Archer. He's asking, does it work with Google? I think he's referencing, does the launch control work with Google? Because I know Google Meet has come up more and more these days. I've used it on the side to learn a bit more about it and see what the meetings were like. Right now, this launch control will allow you to launch Google Meet as a software. It doesn't directly tie into the calendar just yet, but there is a roadmap of different video conferencing platforms that are going to be tied directly into launch control so that when you invite the room or you invite that display into your meeting, it will populate a meeting notification on the calendar with a button that says join. That works currently with Teams, it works with Zoom, it works with Skype for Business, WebEx is coming soon, Google Meet is coming soon. All of these different things are being worked on in the back end in terms of the software company that we partner with. They're writing all of the coding so that, again, things are seamless in terms of I have invited Ellen's display into a Zoom meeting. In 1 hour, there's a Teams meeting. In another hour, there will be a Meet meeting. All of those will pop up on the calendar. She can scroll through them, and there will be a single button that says join on each one of those invites that populates the software and joins the meeting. So all of those things are coming. It's just currently the software platforms for video conferencing that work now are Skype for Business, Teams, and Zoom. So more to come because we're learning more and more which ones are essentially having to rise up to the priority list on ways to get connected. So that's so eventually, yes, it will work even deeper with Google, but our displays work with Google and everything from Google in general already.
Are there any other questions?
Let me see if there's another. And let me just go ahead and go over this question from D. Kim. Previous webinar, the presenter mentioned that Newline rebrands the displays for other manufacturers. Who and what's your market share? So what I can explain is that in the past, we have done some manufacture for some other manufacturers that go through multiple different factories, so to say. Our factory manufactures displays primarily for Newline and for another brand called Height Vision that is sold in China alone. Outside of that, I couldn't even tell you the last time I've heard we've made a display for someone else. So it's a small occurrence if it ever happens. But in total, in terms of market share, we are now fourth in the U.S. in terms of market share. Smart and Promethean are still number 1 and number 2. A lot of reasons for that is because there are a lot of tie-ins on their software, and some school districts, large K-12 school districts, can't get away from the software dedications that they have in terms of years of files and lessons plans. So they still have the majority of the market share. ViewSonic is just ahead of us, but we're fourth. And I think currently we're probably trending towards 10-12% of the market already. So there's that question. And then Ellen, you can keep going, and I'll hit some of these other ones up as they come along.
So that kind of, so the Q&A came at a good time because I was just wrapping up there. Is there anything else you wanted to add though?
Let's see. Hopefully, Rick, I answered that question properly in terms of it. Google Meet tying directly into the calendar of launch control. So hopefully that answered that one. He said yes, so I did a good thing.
Well done.
And then where does newbie learn the details Ellen is describing now? So another part of our post-sale support mechanism that has helped Newline stand out amongst all of the competition in the market. And if any of you are familiar with touchscreens in the audiovisual market, there are dozens of brand names of touchscreens out there. One of the ways we've been able to differentiate in terms of support is that we have Ellen doing tons and tons of training. That's why she is starting to go back to the office, but during the pandemic, we actually sent a display home with her so that she could continue doing webinars and training and demonstrations of the product via webinar. And her other training counterparts actually will go on site for certain deployments in terms of being able to train on site. And a lot of what we do is focused on training in particular to how the end user needs to use the display, as opposed to Ellen walking in and saying, all right, I'm going to train you how to do everything you can think of with this display, when we know that would probably be a little bit lengthy and lose people in the first 5 minutes knowing that they want to know how to do one thing on the display or a couple of things. So we really focus it based on the feedback of the end user. Here's how we want to use the display. Can you train the rest of our team to do that? That's exactly what Ellen can do on-site or virtual. And that goes with the training team, and that also goes along with a lot of our sales counterparts that are doing a lot of the travel and virtual stuff to begin with. So that's a big part of our support mechanism in terms of pre-sale, post-sale, warranty support, technical support, and then there's the training. So a lot of that is included with the purchase of a Newline display. So keep throwing your questions in there. I will add some comments about huddle spaces in general. From my experience over the years and working with huddle spaces, a lot of what people want to do is walk in the room. There's either the computer that's there or they want to plug in their computer, which can be done exactly with the product Alan is standing in front of. A lot of times that when they walk in, it's 2 or 3 people walking into the room that want to connect with a third, fourth, fifth person remote. So the camera and microphone become very necessary for ad hoc video conference meetings. And as you've seen with our displays and the way our products can connect to any computer, you could have one room that's a huddle space that's for Zoom, and walk 10 feet down the hall and go into another room that's set up with Teams, because a lot of companies aren't standardized on one versus the other. So essentially, our products allow even more flexibility than some of the other competitors out there that are dedicated to only Zoom or dedicated to only WebEx, or like Microsoft, dedicated to only Teams. Our products will work off of the software that's on a computer, which means you've got flexibility now in terms of being able to use all the platforms that you want because your company, your school uses different products. Or when you want to make changes and you want to do standardize on a product, well, our product goes right along with you in terms of now it's Zoom everywhere, now it's Teams everywhere, or now we want to add in XYZ video conference software because it's brand new and it's the best we've seen out there. How do we get it? Well, we just download the software on the computer that's plugging into a Newline display, and the display either has its own built-in cameras or microphone, or we're just slapping on the little Huddley, what's the camera there? The Lumens camera. It's got a microphone, or maybe it's a Logitech Meetup that's got the camera and microphone. You guys can decide what that is. If it's not one of our X series displays that has the camera, the microphone, and the computer all bundled in and integrated together as one piece of hardware. So that's a little bit about my experience with huddle spaces. People want to keep it simple. It's a tight room to begin with. So maybe it's literally the display up on the wall with the camera microphone built in, a couple of chairs, maybe there's not even a table, but they've got everything they need in terms of being able to use a display that has whiteboarding capabilities. And there's a few different ways we can teach you and train you how to do that. And it's got the software to be able to do Zoom, software to be able to do Teams. So that's how huddle spaces are very prevalent these days and how our products fit right into that market. Another question here from Sunny: can teacher presentations be recorded, audio, video, and posted for replay? And the answer is yes. So there are a lot of different ways to do that. I think you're seeing one current way that's very popular right now, which is using Zoom, recording it. This will then turn into a file that Ellen is going to actually post on YouTube, right? And it can be a private link to certain people. I've done recordings through Teams. I know a lot of education institutions are tied in with Blackboard and tied in with other Captura and Panapto and all these different software suites that tie in with a lot of education style things that can record and capture. So multitude of different ways to be able to do that in terms of capturing what's coming from the camera, capturing what's coming from the screen itself. As the way Ellen has set it up currently is she's got a camera pointed at her in front of the display. She has a capture card pulling the content from the display, feeding it back into her computer. And then she takes that, mixes in some software, that's some broadcasting software she has for free, and is able to manipulate the feed to us so that you see the Newline logo on the top left, you see some contact information in the bottom right, you see social media links on the bottom left, and you can see the content from the screen is on a large portion of the left side of the screen, but you can still see her in front of the display. So a lot of these things are ways that Newline has gotten creative over the last, especially the last 4 months, to be able to show maybe a company that's doing training remotely, maybe a school that's having to do all of their lessons and all of their teaching via remote, and how can they do it outside of just me sharing my laptop and screen and you looking at me from my laptop camera. Here's a better way that we're doing it so that it's similar to what the classroom feel is. So for more information on that, just reach out to your Newline person or reach back out to Ellen, let her know what part of the country you're in, and she can connect you with a Newline sales manager that can then kind of go through the product and help with figuring out what product fits best, you know, in your environment. So that one's done. And how are we doing on time, Ellen? We're at
2 minutes. So I think
2
we're
minutes
probably
left.
good. If there aren't any other questions, we can give them some time back.
There's another question here. It says, can Ellen please repeat the words button and calendar?
Is that a Newline employee that's asking that?
No.
I cannot at this moment. It looks like we're out of time, but thank you for joining us. Did you make that question up?
We'll leave that unanswered, I guess, and we'll have to get back to it later.
We'll have to, yes. Well, thank you, everyone. Were we done with questions, Patrick, minus that one?
Actually, I made that up. That wasn't actually a question. I just wanted to clarify for everyone.
Oh, okay. Okay, Patrick. Well, I'll talk to you about that later. But everyone, thank you for joining us for our webinar. Again, this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel for you to check out. But if you have any questions, like Patrick said, reach out to your regional sales manager, or if you're not sure who that is, send me an email. My contact information is in the bottom right there, and I can connect you with the right people. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you, Patrick, for your help.
Thanks, everyone.